was just telling Bunny before the lesson started that last week's lesson was a result of something I learned from my friend, Rusty Justice, who is just a really, really intelligent man. He's an engineer. He runs an engineering company, does all kinds of land removal and um, different types of construction projects. And he and his business partner started BitSource, which is the software development company that began by hiring displaced coal workers because they were so hurt about the plight of the decline of the coal industry and having to close the coal mine that they operated. And so they started BitSource. And that is how I got involved because everyone thought they were a school. They were teaching these coal miners how to do computer coding. And so they kept getting, bombarded from educational organizations wanting to learn what they're doing and how are they doing it. And so that's how I got involved. And while I don't get to talk to Rusty every week, we touch base every 2 or 3 weeks to every month. And it seems like every time I talk to him, he says something that I just can't quit thinking about. And so this week he called me just about a personal matter in his family and wanted my advice, which just blew my mind that he would trust my judgment or my wisdom. And I gave him an example of something that was going on in my own life, in my own family, and I was able to share with him just how I've seen God work in an amazing way. And he said, "You have been making an investment that over time you've kept making these small contributions to this investment, and now you're getting to make a withdrawal." And it still gives me chills to think about those words because we do that without even realizing it, or at least hopefully we're doing it. I was doing it without realizing it, but I want to be more focused, more intentional in making investments in people, whether I get to make a withdrawal or not. I may never get to make a withdrawal. It may be something that I never see come to fruition in someone's life, but that's not my part. I just have to worry about my investments. And so that's the root of this lesson. And so an investment is actually an asset acquired or invested in to build wealth and save money from the hard-earned income or appreciation of income. Investment meaning is primarily to obtain an additional source of income or gain profit. So think of that, to gain profit from the investment over a specific period of time. And if you know anything at all about investments, I know very little, but what I do know about the money my husband and I have invested over the years is you don't make an investment expecting to get a huge return right away. You make an investment with the mindset that eventually, somewhere down the road, maybe when I retire, I will have some additional income that I can use at that time when there may be a need. And so you start investing small amounts of money, maybe $50 a month, for example, and you kind of put it in your investment. Maybe it's a mutual fund, maybe it's a savings account, and you forget about it. And you let that money grow. And so the interest that you earn rolls over, it continues to accrue interest, and then it just continues to grow until eventually you have made a wise investment that will give you a yield. But let's think about that in different terms. If we want to gain profit in someone's life, we want to be investing in their life so that over a long period of time, it's not going to be an instant gratification type investment. It's not like a lottery ticket that you may or may not get a good return from. We can think about other people in that same regard. And so we can either be the investor or we can be the recipient of an investment that someone else has made. And so if you think you invest in a home and over time you make that payment consistently, and then eventually that home is yours. But let's think about a college fund. If you invest in a college fund for your children or grandchildren, um, that is not something that's going to benefit you personally. It may benefit that child when it comes time for college. And that it would be a gift to them that you have made, and they would be the recipient of that investment. And so um, I'm sure each of you right now can think of one person who's invested in your life over the years. It may not be through money. I'd rather you not think of someone who's invested in you through money, but who has invested in you in other ways that have helped you grow in your faith, helped you develop your morals and your value system. So be thinking of that throughout this lesson. So what happens to a monetary investment? Well, we either lose money through our investment or we earn money. But eventually we will die and leave our earnings if we don't spend them. And that's what a lot of people do. And so this quote by Randy Alcorn just says that when Jesus warns us not to store up treasures on earth, it's not just because wealth might be lost. It's because wealth will always be lost. It either leaves us while we live or we leave it when we die. No exceptions. Realizing its value is temporary should radically affect our investment strategy. According to Jesus, storing up earthly treasures isn't simply wrong, it's just plain stupid. And while I don't think it's stupid to make monetary investments, I do it myself in hopes of someday, if I ever need caregiving, I've learned it's very expensive, to be able to help my children or grandchildren with schooling. There are many reasons that investing is a good thing, but I've also seen a lot of people die who have these investments that they never spent, they never tapped into, and it's just left behind. So, what is our goal? And if our investments are limited to this earth, then we may be the world's worst investors. And so I want us to be thinking about how can we invest in other things besides just money. And Matthew 6:19 through 20 says, lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. So let's think about ways we can lay up treasures in heaven, and that is through investing in other people. So 1 Thessalonians 5:10 through 11 says, He died for us so that whether we are awake or asleep, we might live together with Him. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. So we need to encourage one another and build each other up in our faith, encourage those who are around us who don't have a faith. Our pastor candidate yesterday, which for those of you didn't hear, before the meeting started, we voted in a new pastor at our church yesterday with a 100% vote, which was just incredible, in my opinion. 100% of our members were in favor of hiring him and calling him to our church. And so he talked about the importance of getting out in our community and being encouragers. And he gave some examples of his youth ministry in Ohio that were just so motivating. And so we can do that with little investments over time. And then 2 Corinthians 1:4, God of comfort, who comforts us in all our afflictions, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any kind of affliction through the comfort that we ourselves receive from the Lord. And so this is one of the things we talked about after Wes passed away is that it was one thing when a person offered comfort who had never experienced a loss of a child or a brother, but when it was someone who had, and they truly understood, it was a whole different level of comfort and encouragement that they were providing because they came from a point of experience. And so we have all experienced things. And that is one little group of people that we can look to invest in, are those who are suffering in ways that we have suffered, or who are experiencing loss or death or loss of a job, whatever it might be, sickness, because we too have experienced it. And it means so much when someone shares their story with you like that. And then Hebrews 10:24-25, these are the scriptures of our Women Encouraging Women group at our church. These are the scriptures we adopted probably a decade ago. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encourage one another. And all the more as you see the day approaching. So we are to encourage one another, and I want us to think about how we can do that. How can you invest in your people? And your people are not going to be the same as my people. We aren't in the same communities, and we aren't in the same jobs. We don't have the same families, but each of us have a realm of influence, a circle of people around us. Our interim pastor the other day said he calls it the 1-3-12 principle. Our number one is Jesus. The three are our three closest confidants, the people that you could call to pray for you, your inner circle prayer warriors. He said those were Peter, James, and John for Jesus. And then our 12, Jesus had 12 disciples. They were the people maybe in his closest circle that would be the equivalent of our Sunday school class, or a group like we have here in this Victory Verse journaling group, that we are able to share a little bit more about our lives, but not every single detail like we would with our three. And then he said there is the 100, and that would be our church. And then the 1200 would be our county. So within our 1-3-12, 100, 1200 group, we would have people that we can invest in. So be thinking about who your people are. So how can we actually make a plan for investing in others? And an article I read through communitymade.com, it talked about relationship intelligence. And I thought that is something we need to learn early on. I think a Sunday school class would be a great place to learn this, or Bible study, is relationship intelligence. First, we need to get to know someone. We need to get to know the person. What do they like? What are their hobbies? What do they look forward to? What are they fearful of? Just what is it that makes them tick? And then think of an investment as any kind of highly personalized touch point, outreach, or interaction that communicates to that person that they are valued and appreciated. So we're going to get to know them, and we're not going to try to pick out everything that we could criticize them for or be critical of them over, because we can always dissect someone to the point of finding those things that irritate us. But what is it that we can value about that person, or find a common ground with that person and make that a point of investing? Do we have resources that we could provide? So that's a way we can help invest in someone. If you think about all of the devotion books maybe that you have in your home, and then you think of someone who's a new Christian, or maybe someone who's just starting to become interested in spiritual issues, or maybe they're starting to ask you questions, that would be a great way to invest in that person is to provide a resource that you have that they may need. And it could be a physical need, such as clothing, or it could be something, just something that you have that you know would fill a need for them, such as a book. The biggest fan philosophy. Can you nourish their soul and feelings by cheering them on when they need it? I think my Mama Fields was probably um, a poster child for this. Um, After she passed away, we found little notes and cards that she had written people, and they might say how much she enjoyed their song that they sang in church, um, what a great job she thought they did. She was just always bragging on people in church and letting them know that she appreciated what they did. And I think a lot of people felt like they were her biggest fan. The fourth one, thoughtful giving. Sometimes a little gift, it doesn't have to be something huge, but a little gift can let someone know that you thought of them. I saw this and I thought of you. Can be something very inexpensive. It doesn't have to be something that costs a lot of money, but that's a great way to invest in someone. And I've heard mom say multiple times that when someone brags on a piece of jewelry that she's wearing, she'll just take it off and give it to them and say, I think you should have it. You'll enjoy it more than me. And so finding out little things. My friend Angie Watts, she loves corn candy in the fall. So I always try to buy her a bag of those little uh, corn candies. So just little small things that over time, a bag of corn candy is about $1, but I've done that for her for probably 12 years. So over time, that investment um, really starts to pay off. Number 5 is something that is totally free. And sometimes a note of thanks is more valuable than a physical gift. Letting someone know you appreciate them. And we did a whole lesson on this back at Thanksgiving when we all wrote letters of thanks to people around us, the people that often go unnoticed. That was the lesson on And the Rest, that was motivated from the TV show of Gilligan's Island. And just letting someone know you appreciate them every now and then. Doesn't have to be something, none of these things are things we do every day or every week. Um, but maybe just periodically, as God places it on your heart, you let someone know you appreciate them. And then I thought 6 was something I would have never thought of, but it is very valuable, is leverage the power of the inner circle. If you care about who they care about, and you can show love to the people they love, and you show attention to those people, that is very important. So if you think about, um, for example, I may think about my niece Greta, and she's someone I make an effort to invest in. Do I invest in her mom? Well, I should, because she's important to Greta. And I think about how people have shown such love to me. And when they ask about my new granddaughter and how excited they seem to be about her, that just really makes me feel good and closer to that person. So um, this is one that I would have never thought about, but I think is so important, is to find out who is in their inner circle and then make a point to show interest and support. And then number 7, follow up. Just check in, to check on them periodically. How are they doing? You can do that through a text message. It doesn't have to be an hour-long phone call. It could be a note or a text, or just any way that a Facebook post that lets them know you're thinking of them and praying for them. If you know they have a need, I have actually recorded prayers and then sent through Messenger or text, because you can't always talk to someone when they have a need, but you can always send something like that if they use technology. And so I just want us to all be thinking about these relationship intelligence tools that we can use to start investing in people around us. It could be children. Um, when we had our meet and greet with our pastor candidate the other night, Saturday night, Becky showed up with a gift for their daughter, who's 7 or 8 years old. And I thought she's already started investing in little Aubrey. And I'm sure the next time Becky goes to talk to her, she's going to remember, and she's going to be seeing that she's one of her biggest fans. And I think that's so important that, all of the ladies in our church invest into this little girl. So, your assignment this week, here's your homework. The teacher in me just can't resist. I want you to think of someone you are investing in or would like to invest in. Maybe someone you've invested in for years, but maybe you haven't followed up lately, or this just motivates you to do something new. And which of these 7 steps could you focus on this week in order to begin making deposits into that person? So it may be more than one person, but I want you to at least think of one. And we've done this before with other lessons where we've thought about people we're mentoring or we want to mentor, and how can we reach out and essentially invest in them. But this week, I want you to think of at least one and what you can do. Make a plan. It may not be something you can do this week, but you're going to make your plan of what you're going to do. And then my journaling ideas are very simple. I couldn't come up with much more than this. I don't know. This just was my big idea. To have a piggy bank, you could find any type of bank you want. You might have it look like a church bank. It could be the shape of anything you like, but the pig is traditional. So a pig with coins coming out or, flying all over the page. And on those coins, I plan to put those 7 steps of just ideas about making deposits. But you can do it however you want. So on those, you could put actual people's names that you want to make a priority to invest in so that you don't forget, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to show you my journal now so that you can see another little thing I'm doing. I didn't have on this page, I plan to put my scriptures about encouraging. I'm going to put them here. And then I'm making this little pocket. It's a double pocket. I'm going to show you how to make one. It's a different type of pocket than we've ever made before. But then you can have little tags, or this is just a tag I made from garbage, actually. This should have folded up and made a little box for like party favors, but I didn't want to use it for that, so I just cut it apart and made a tag out of it. I've used sewing, but you don't have to. You can always just cut a little tag shape out of a piece of scrapbook paper, and then you can write on the back. On the back of these, that's where I plan to write my plan of maybe the people that I want to start investing in, or people who I do invest in that I want to do something special for. So that's what these are for. And to make one of these little pockets, you just need 2 pieces of paper. These are the stiff scrapbooking paper, but you can use whatever you have. I even thought it would be cute to make out of a book page. So this is an old Reader's Digest book that I have here. I use the covers to actually make a journal, but I keep these pages because you can make all kinds of things out of old book page. So if you have an old book, you can just tear a page out. I cut the white margins off so that I just had the words, and then you just fold it up. Then you're going to take your scissors and just cut this smaller flap on a diagonal. And then here you have that line, and just use that as a guide to cut that one at a diagonal. You're going to take your glue and just put a little bit of glue on it. And then you can put some washi tape down these sides to just make it a little bit firmer. so that it doesn't tear so easily. And then when you glue that down in your journal, just don't put glue on the back, just put glue around the edges, and then you have a double pocket here and here. You can decorate these however you want. If you want to add other little stickers, that would be great. So now on this one, here you can see I started cutting that right on the edge, all the way up. So on this one, to do the same. Okay, then I could use this one for something else. Hang on to that. And then I'm going to cut this one the same. And that's not perfect. You know, if I wanted to use a paper cutter and make it perfect, I could, but to me, it's not that important. Finished is better than perfection. Remember that little rule of thumb. Leave that open. Don't put glue on the back, just around the edges, and then glue it down. And take some washi tape. Washi tape is that removable tape. Throw it back or just cut it off. And you can put another strip here to do the same thing. And then you've got a cute little pocket to glue down. And then you can stick your tags or your note cards, whatever you write on, right there in your journal. Because remember, I love surprises in a journal. I love to have little things you run across that just make you think, ah, look at there. Didn't know that was going to be there. So this is a double pocket that, and if you wanted it on this other side, just do it in the opposite direction. Just cut your angles going the other way and it would make one for over here. So now while that dries, you can see my little pig. I just drew this from the picture in the inspiration picture that I had on the slide deck. Just a circle with some little ears. And I'm not going to go over this in pink because I think I'm actually going to make it three-dimensional and, or not three-dimensional, but use pink paper so that I don't color it. I'm going to cut it out of construction paper or scrapbooking paper and then glue it down. With its little nose, it's just a circle with two little nostrils, two little bright eyes. It's super easy to draw. And then I just randomly cut these out. I did not use anything as a template, but you could use the bottom of your glue if you wanted. And I cut out 7 of these to go around my little piggy bank. And that's where I'm going to write those different ways of making investments. And then over here will be my scripture references and any other notes that were important to me. So that's how I'm going to do my journal. I can't wait to see yours. So ladies, I hope you come up with a great plan for making investments.